the season is not easy to predict, and that's why we're just throwing stuff up against the wall for the next 4 or 5 weeks. And this call is going to warn me and teach me to quit making absolutes, because you just don't know. One thing, when a coach like Will Muschamp, someone that I have great respect for, talks optimistically, there is usually a reason, and he has been just upbeat and positive. And I know sometimes that's because the season ended so poorly, but it also could mean that he sees things that we don't see. I hope you're right. I would really like to see him be successful at South Carolina. We'll take a short break. Still an hour and 15 minutes to go. We have a couple more guests in the final hour. It's been a really good show. When you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want an efficient way to get to a short list of quality candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in mere minutes. Set up screener questions based on your job requirements. Then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed.
The Home Depot Days of Doing Bath and Kitchen event is going on now, with everything you need to let the savings flow. Like the Moen Genta 4-inch faucet in brush nickel finish for just $99. It combines a contemporary modern design with a spot-resistant finish for a beautifully clean look in your bathroom. Today is the day for doing and stylish updates at the Home Depot Days of Doing Bath and Kitchen event going on now. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Offer valid through October 5th while supplies last.
Paul Feinbaum here for the Southeast leader for cranes and equipment rental, Craneworks. The Craneworks team in Nashville, Birmingham, and Mobile is ready to make your next construction or maintenance project a big success. Give Craneworks a call for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project. And don't forget, RentalWorks has a full line of rental equipment for jobs both big and small, and now offering qualified operators for all equipment, including aerial and earth-moving equipment. Call Craneworks at 877-282-LIFT or visit them on the web at craneworks.com.
Coming up Tuesday, Tom.
I'm Jordan Glass with your sports update on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. For your Pensacola Blue Wahoos, they are victorious in both Saturday and Sunday over the Birmingham Barons. Coming up next, it's Game 5 of the 5-game series. Coming up later on this evening at 6:35. You can catch all the action with Chris Garagiola right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. UWF Argo football fans, we are 30 days away from the start of the 2019 season. If you'd like to purchase tickets to home games, Argo fans, you can do that at GoArgos.com. I'm Jordan Glass with your sports update on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
At ESPN Pensacola 94.5, we are football. When UWF scores that game-winning touchdown on your home for the Argos, we are football. When your favorite high school team celebrates a victory on Friday night under the lights on the game of the week, we are football. When former NFL coach Kay Stevenson gives his expert advice, we are football. With Golick and Wingo in the morning and Paul Feinbaum in the afternoon. College alumni shows at 1 from Alabama to Florida. And the Sports Drive at 5 with legendary SEC interviews like Gene Stallings and Pat Dye. We are football. The weekends are made for football in the South. So wake up Saturday mornings with College Game Day, the Sports Call, and the biggest NCAA games of the week. On Sunday, sit down with Pensacola's best of the NFL like Fred Robbins and Fantasy Football Inside from the Fantasy Sleepers, followed by the best NFL football games from coast to coast. So in all, we're not just football, we are local football. ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
I'm Barry Cole, owner of Beret Jewelers. What do you think when you hear 60 to 70% off diamonds? If you're equipped with a good truth filter, a loud alarm goes off in your head and screams, mark up to mark down, mark up to mark down. At Beret Jewelers, we don't mark it up to mark it down, but I promise you, we will always be the lowest price on comparable quality diamonds and jewelry. You don't stick around for 32 years unless you've done just that. Like people, diamonds have levels of integrity. Our job at Beret Jewelers is to find you that perfect diamond with strong levels of integrity, diamonds that are properly graded and beautifully cut so many years down the road it shimmers, shines, and stands out in a crowd. Sometimes the hidden treasure is right in your backyard, and for diamonds and jewelry, it's here at Beret Jewelers, brand new location next to Bonefish Grill on 12th Avenue or in Gulf Breeze. I'm Barry Cole from Beret Jewelers, and I want to be your jeweler.
Corporal John Vale was on patrol when his truck flipped.
I realized I can't move my legs.
When John arrived at the VA, Paralyzed Veterans of America was there to advocate for him and help John with his claim. PVA has helped hundreds of thousands of veterans get the care and benefits they've earned, and their service is free. If you need help with a claim or just navigating the system, contact us at pva.org.
When working at a growing business, you wear many hats. The new business hat, the buying toner for the copy machine hat, the sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away that last hat thanks to Indeed.com. When posting your job, Indeed lets you add screener questions that give you a less time-consuming route to your short list of qualified candidates. So go ahead, dust off that extra long lunch hat. Hiring's better when you've got your short list. Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
To protect her home and family in a disaster, Karen was willing to wade through water, mud, and insurance paperwork.
Yeah, I can do this.
You go, Karen! By simply understanding and updating what her insurance covers and doesn't cover now, she'll be better prepared no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message
Talk
from
football
FEMA
every
and the
day
Ad
at noon
Council.
with Pensacola's own legendary Coach K on your radio, on Facebook, and on YouTube at ESPN Pensacola 945.
Welcome back as we continue on a Monday afternoon. Rhett is up next. Rhett, thanks for the call. Good afternoon.
Hey, Paul.
Hey there.
I was going to ask you about Georgia's outside linebacker situation after the Cox dismissal. Let's see what you thought about that.
Yeah, I would be a little concerned. I know we've had a couple of Georgia fans calling in touting the depth, and I understand that, but still, I'm always a little bit queasy when you start losing players of this caliber.
Yeah, it just seems like he got passed on the depth chart by, some of the newcomers like Ojulari and Walter Grant and Nolan Smith and Jermaine, the new two freshmen that just came in.
It happens.
Yep.
Yeah, and Alabama lost a five-star the other day, and I think sometimes the one thing you can't do, and I think I just became victimized by my own admonition that you can't get hung up on what that player was the day he signed. You have to look at that player and how he's dealing with the current status, and just because just because we thought he was going to be this doesn't mean that other players can't pass him, and that creates pressure, and players do stupid things when they're not happy.
Right. I mean, I understand these kids are, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, and they come from a high school where, they're the main show. Like,
Absolutely.
They're the best player on the field every game, night in and night out. And they get to a place like Georgia, and there's, 15 or 20 that's just as good, if not better, than you. And I guess that kind of causes
especially
some
when the expectations are so high. And the one thing about Georgia, I mean, if you look at Georgia, Clemson, and Alabama right now, no one is recruiting at that level. And it's all about, getting the impact player, but it's also about getting depth. And especially at a position like linebacker, you need a lot of depth because of rotations. Hey, thank you very much for the call, and I think you make a good point. That has been the story of the day right now, Brenton Cox leaving. Daniel is up next.
Hey, Paul. How you doing?
We were doing great. Thank you for the call.
Big fan of your show. Also a big fan of the Georgia Bulldogs, the Cox incident. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's to be determined. Yeah, he's a 5-star. Yeah, he's an impact player, but he certainly wasn't moving in the right direction. So I always look at it, to me, I always hate to lose a player, a high-caliber player, primarily from a depth standpoint.
Well, didn't he get caught with, or did he accidentally get caught with drugs or something like that?
Yeah, he got in trouble, and I don't think we know exactly why he is no longer at Georgia, but I bet the story is not pretty.
But I heard that he has been caught with drugs again. Also, recently, that's the reason of the dismissal.
Daniel, I don't know that for a fact, but for Kirby Smart to get rid of a player, you better believe it was something serious.
I actually believe that too. Do you think he'll go to another SEC school?
I'm not positive, but I do know one thing. Football coaches all have this Father Flanagan complex. They think they can turn anyone from bad to good. So, yes, I think he will be recruited pretty heavily.
You think Florida or Auburn will get him?
I don't know because first of all, I mean, there are some schools that may not want him based on his track record, but if he has the talent and they can feel confident that he won't be a detriment to the team, then they'll go after him. But I don't know where. I'm not that familiar. Thank you for the call. Jake is up next in Oklahoma. Hey, Jake, go right ahead.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
We're doing well.
Hey, I've got a question for you. Do you think that Jalen Hurts will be the starting quarterback for my Sooners in 2019?
I absolutely believe he will be the starting quarterback.
Do you think that he has the talent to take them to the college football playoff?
Most certainly.
All right. And do you think he has a chance to win the Heisman?
I do. Listen, I think the answer is yes on all those because I think Jalen Hurts is just an incredible player. And, why didn't he start last year? Because a generational player came in and took it away. Those things are rare, but they happen at places like Clemson, Alabama, and Georgia. We've seen 5-stars leave all three of those. Up against a break. One more hour to go as we continue here on a Monday afternoon.
You'll never find another like me. With the Capital One Saver Card, you earn 4% cash back on dining and entertainment. That's 4% cash back on milkshakes with extra whipped cream. And 4% to get extra loud at the show. The Capital One Saver Card. Earn 4% on dining and 4% on entertainment. What's in your wallet?
Hey guys, it's Taylor. You can pre-order my new album, Lover, at taylorswift.com.
Terms apply. Capital One Bank, USA/NA.
Introducing the next generation of SiriusXM with all new features, exclusively on the SiriusXM app and online. Enjoy over 100 ad-free extra channels filled with music for any mood. Create your own ad-free music stations with personalized stations powered by Pandora. Watch video of your favorite shows and performances, and listen in more places than ever because listening outside the car is now included in even more packages. Visit SiriusXM.com/connect to start listening today.
If you have over $10,000 in credit card debt and are behind on your monthly payments, you need to make this free call right now. 800-428-4187. When you call the Stop Debt Hotline, you're taking the first steps for help. Debt specialists are part of a real team who will help you with all of your options. You could stop the collection calls and letters forever by calling the completely confidential toll-free number right now. 800-428-4187. 800-428-4187. When you call, you'll get free information on how you can handle your debt forever. Imagine no more late nights and no more debt. Don't try to face your creditors alone. Call the Stop Debt Hotline right now. 800-428-4187. 800-428-4187. Get free information now by calling the Stop Debt Hotline. 800-428-4187. Non-attorney spokesperson paid for by Debt Resolution Helpline. 102 Northeast 2nd Street, number 183, Boca Raton, Florida, 33432.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket. hit ignition,
and then nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Ranger Station.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting in the forest. 1 second, I'm having a smoke. Next thing I know, I'm face-to-face with Smokey Bear.
Wow.
And he told me it only takes one spark to start a wildfire.
Did you know 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans?
I had no idea.
That's why Smokey's famous and you're not. If you see someone in danger of starting a wildfire, step in and make a difference. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Small businesses drive our nation's economy, employing about half of the country's private sector workforce.
Here's coffee.
Thanks so much. When you shop at local small businesses, you help the entire community thrive.
Hello, I'm Senator Marco Rubio. I support local small businesses for the good of our community. Let's help our neighbors thrive.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.
Those up the left. At the 40, Derek Brooks 30, Brooks to the 29, 20. Derek Brooks all the way. Touchdown Tampa Bay. Derek Brooks, the dagger's in. We're going to win the Super Bowl.
Bubba Watson is wearing a green jacket, and this time his name is Bubba.
Pitch on the way. Russell drives one in the air. Deep left center. That back to the wall. It's got a chance. Grand slam. Grand slam, Addison Russell.
The new WNBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr. And Richardson breaks free on the sideline. End zone. How about that? Bama scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trick Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And these them Louisiana, Pensacola guys, they looking crazy and all that.
Morris, blocked by the tight end Paul. That opens up the door. Breaking the Cambridge tackle. To the pylon. Touchdown.
Really nice effort there by Alfred Morris, extending that ball over the goal line.
Near side ball is that big game. Doug Baldwin's got a first down. Doug Baldwin, 93 yards, now has back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons.
Reggie Evans, and he's going to get an ovation. Guy from Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome into the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5 and on Blab TV. I'm Chad Brilliante. Glad to be with you as we get the college football countdown really, truly beginning.
That's right.
19 days away right there from when toe meets leather in the home of the fake national title.
North Florida State, 19-5, 22 days away. Yeah.
But Florida and Miami will get things kicked off. Two true national champions, I do have to admit. And it should be some fun as we're going to break down some of the best non-conference matchups from that Auburn versus Oregon game where I truly believe we were talking to Pat Dye, and I'm not sure where that conversation fully went. By that time, it was Charlie Weiss cracking a branch on a tree and then falling to where the pigs, including himself, like to feed, according to Coach Dye right there. Yep. But at the same time, what I think he truly meant to bring in, reel it in, was that Auburn's going to start Joey Gatewood. He didn't say it or in any way, but I don't think he meant any of that. But Joey Gatewood, I believe, will win the job, but eventually Bo Nix, to me, is the quarterback of the future. And this happens, look, very, very, very rarely, especially when you're throwing somebody into the wolves, not against, like, Papa John's U, but against the school. He would be in the house, but not anymore. He got fired. Looking at the Oregon game, though, you're talking about a team that right out of the chute, you've got a tough game.
Yeah.
Mario Cristobal is going to have them playing some tough brand football. You know that. There's a couple coaches out there that are going to have their teams prepare, and he's one of them. Because how do you look that guy in the eyes and be like, nah, bro, I'm good? He's like, I will eat you and take out your family. Like, he's the kind of guy that he's a nice guy off the field. I've talked to him when he was at Alabama and when he was at Miami. But Mario Cristobal is not the kind of guy you can walk up to. Jordan, you grew up in a military family.
It did, yeah.
My grandfather, you don't walk up to him and be like, I'm not doing that chore, unless you want to be thrown in the pool before they had put the water in with the chlorine.
Right. I had the honor of actually having the pleasure of bumping into Arlie Ermey at the base in San Diego. And that is not a guy you want to look in the eyes because he's a guy that's seen some stuff, and he's a guy that is a very tough guy, and probably the only guy that would probably scare Mario Cristobal is Arlie Ermey. Rest in peace.
Yes. When Mario Cristobal starts turning the color of his team, which is green, of the 19,000 neon colors they have, smash. But that's going to be a tough game, and we're going to look at the best non-conference matchups. You can weigh in at 850-972-1945 is the number. Busy week. We had island fights here, some great fights overall as well. You had a chance to sit down and watch the Blue Wahoos continue to be on a tear right now. A 10-1 victory, and then on Saturday was down there when they had a 3-1 win. And almost a no-hitter. Was down there afterwards, surveying one of our great sponsors at 200 South. I text my wife. I said, hey, we're building the NFL football show down there where we were at Beef O'Brady's last year for a tailgate show and going over the semantics and the design of how to do it. And I remember sitting there and I was like, hey, I'm working hard. And she's like, 11:30 at night, you're working hard, I'm sure. I'm like, hey, listen. And it didn't say what it all entailed, but I'm saying I'm quote, working hard. But we got done with that game and almost pitched a no-hitter. So pretty tip of the cap to a team that is on a tear, Alex Kirilloff and Royce Lewis, which they'll be in action tonight following us here on the Sports Drive at 6:30 with first pitch against the Birmingham Barons. But they're on a tear right now, and they've sort of been the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde team based on guys getting injured, based on guys getting called up. It has been a wild ride when you talk about a team in their first season. There's not too many times where you look great, then they lost right before that first half of the season ended. Looked terrible, lost 11 of their first 12 in the second half, and then come back, and since then, right now, have won, I believe it is, 14 of their last 17 games. Yeah. And it's like night and day the way they're playing. But Royce Lewis and Alex Kirilloff now batting 1 and 2. And this team, if you want to watch some guys out there riding dirty on that base path, like the guy that drives up and he knows that his car is cooler than yours. When you try that with like one of those beat up Geo Metros, you're not cool. But the guy that truly knows his car is better, like the Lambo or
a golf car.
Yeah. One of the here's a prime example. If the car the guy is driving next to you doesn't make him a better person, some women would say it makes him a different type of person. He gets a car because of never mind. But when it comes down to if he pulls up that and you don't know if there's a dealership of that car brand within Pensacola, then he's probably driving a pretty sweet car. Think about it that way.
Yeah.
That's probably a good way to look at it. Because we have most car dealerships, and I'm friends with a lot of them. Going to have lunch with Miles Bentley tomorrow. Hill Kelly Dodge, one of our great and one of my first sponsors. Great guy that does so much, not only sink the punt Bentley. That is him.
Go, yeah.
But I'm talking about if you don't know that we have a car dealership with that car, it's probably a pretty cool car.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Think about it.
Or if you pull up next to it,
Lambo, Porsche.
It's painted like a car from Mario
Maserati.
Kart. Yeah, there's like those 3 Lamborghinis that painted like they've got the Mario character paint jobs on them. Like, we get it, dude. You got 3 different Lamborghinis. They're all painted differently, like custom paint jobs. It's like, okay, let me borrow one.
See, give me the Bowser car because it'd be on fire. Looking at the Kevin Mawai speech yesterday, the NFL Hall of Fame, it wasn't the best Hall of Fame ever, maybe for the secondary. Imagine Ed Reed, Champ Bailey, and Ty Law right there in the backfield. That's pretty sweet. You throw in Roger Craig and Steve Atwater and a few guys all time. You're talking Ronnie Lott, not Roger Craig. My apologies. Same Sanford team, Ronnie Lott. And Deion Sanders, you probably are working with some of the, doesn't get much better than that. However, Kevin Mawai's speech, Kevin Mawai, his job, think about it. What is a center, not basketball, but in football? What is the job, if you had to put it in layman's terms to people that don't watch football, what a center does on a everyday basis? If you broke it down in one of those like Urban Dictionary, those side things, maybe I'm going too far with this, but in the side piece of, maybe I'm going way too far now, but what it would say a center's job title is. Think about it.
I would say probably snaps the ball to the quarterback.
Make sure that you snap the football.
Yep.
And if you get it wrong, everybody boos you. If you get it right, it's expected.
Right.
Second part is you snap the football and then look up to having a guy that his size of the only way he fits in cameras is on panoramic view. Guys that are 400 pounds because the Grady Jacksons, the Sam Adams, the Tony Siragusas, the guys like Vince Big Daddy Wilfork, human beings that when you look at them, they have one job, nose guard.
Yeah.
Those are the guys trying to run you over to get to the quarterback or running back, and that's what you do for a living. Kevin Mawai did it for 2 decades. And, think about a guy Fred Robbins' size. Fred Robbins is on the small side for the guys that used to run over Kevin Mawai on a daily basis or try to, and that's all he does at practice. That's all he does at drills. That's all he does during the course of the game. At least left tackles sometimes get to break free and take on those, like, they love it. They're chomping at the bit when one of those little 5'11 guys tries to sneak in on an 8-man box, and when they're loading the box and trying to blitz, and you're like, come on, bro. Like, the little guy, like, think about one of those guys that's 5'7".
They get to kick out on a cornerback blitz, and they're just like, okay.
Come on, Guy our size, coming up, and you would be big for a cornerback coming through, but a corner comes through, and one of those Mountain McKinney 6'9", 340 guys is like, boo, get over here, finish him. That's different when you're talking about a guy at center. You don't get that choice. All you get to do is take on the big nasties and not get to pay of the big nasties. Centers are usually the smartest ones on the team, too. Max Unger for the Saints. Guys like throughout the years, what you saw Matt Light did, and then he shifted over to offensive tackle because he was getting bigger and older. But guys you look at all the Nick Mangolds of the world, they usually have an edge to them. They're a little different, but they're usually the most intellectually sound player with the quarterback on the team because they're governing the whole body. They're the ones a facilitator. And Kevin Mawai, whether he was at Seattle, the Jets, and the Titans, was about as good as it gets. And his speech, because I've heard a lot of the speeches. I watched the 3.5 hours. Leighton was taking a nap, got to watch it. And his speech yesterday was about as good as you'll ever hear in the history of the NFL Hall of Fame speeches.
During his career, he served 2 tours in Vietnam, 1 stint in Korea, 2 tours in Germany.
He's talking about his dad.
Dad, I watched you take pride in putting on your uniform and packing your rucksack and taking care of your helicopters. You never cut corners, and you never looked unprepared. You taught me that if it's worth doing, to do it right the first time and don't half-ass anything. You taught me to take responsibility for myself, don't blame others, and if you aren't going to do anything about it, then don't complain about it. You taught me to never start the fight, but you taught me I better damn well finish it. You taught me the value of walking lightly and carrying a big stick, and those lessons are great lessons that still hold values in my life today. Dad, I love you, I thank you. More than all of that, you're the greatest lesson and the greatest person that I could have had. But Lord, Dad, the biggest thing you taught me was family. You taught me how to love your family. You taught me how to love my wife. and to love my children. You're the greatest example of how it is to be a man that I could have ever asked for. Whether I stood on this stage tonight or not, just know this, I'm proud to be your son.
You know, and everything he said is the epitome of his actions of what he did. That's why I started this by prefacing he was a center, because his job title was exactly that. You don't start the fight, but you're going to finish it to protect your quarterback. Or you're the one that doesn't get all the accolades or the picture when the confetti is falling on Super Bowl Sunday. When you win that game, you're not the one that's up on stage, but you're the one, the catalyst, that runs literally every play through you offensively. It starts with you. And if you screw things up, all you're going to be is recognized as the loser that lost that game because of a bad snap. But you'll never get all the accolades and credits. And that's, a lot of people don't even know who Kevin Mawai is probably today that are even football fans. This guy played for 2 decades. His dad was in the military. Probably during that time, too, to be honest with everybody, he was Samoan descent. If you saw the video, he's not your typical kind of guy, looks like a jarhead, shaved head, tat, ready to beat some you-know-what. He is probably dealt with some stuff when he was overseas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And just being honest of the times. But he's the kind of guy that dedicated his life to sucking it up and saying, you know what? It's not about this. It's about the actions that speak louder. And I think it's one of those things. Obviously, it was a horrible weekend with tragedy, 29 deaths. And this isn't a political show. News Radio does a great job. You can listen to that if you want to tune in on 92.3 and 1620 and share your viewpoint, because I'm not. But no matter what, 29 people died. And I think I'm going to say this, nothing to do with that. But the biggest thing we're lacking today is teaching our family, is teaching our kids how to become adults later down the road and setting the right example. I mean, 100%, no matter what we're talking about, whether it's education, whether it's jobs, whether it's not to do sicko things like that, it starts with the family. And not all family members, sometimes you're going to have a bad apple. It's not the family's fault. You can't blame, my parents raised me to be a great human being. I'll be a goofball and say things, but I have a good heart. I mean well, do a lot with charity, and try to always live my life that way. But at the same time, if I did something today, it wouldn't be their fault, and I would never do anything like that. But let's start looking at things that people, normal people, don't think of on an everyday basis. Because that's where this begins. 2010, the guy had a list, and he brought it to school, and he showed people of a list he was going to kill people at that school. This should have been the red flag to say, okay, you know what? As a government or something, this kid needs to be monitored 24/7. This kid has lost his right in society because normal people don't think about that. Yep. If you're getting bullied at school and things like that, I hope we can help. But regular human beings, Jordan, we've had bad days. Mm-hmm. People have had horrible days. No, I've never woken up and wanted to make a list or made a list, because when you start writing that list, you are premeditating something and make a list of people. And that was 9 years ago he made that list. The kid he should have, just like parole, somebody coming every single day or every week and checking that he's doing the right thing. Because obviously he's made it clear that he wanted people dead, and then there were. So proper preparation prevents poor performance. That's our country needs to think. It's nothing to do with everything else. We have crazies out there, but when people make this extremist, when these crazy people, because it is people that have some screws loose that are doing these things, obviously. Because nobody on an everyday basis, no matter how bad your life sucks, no matter what job title you have, most people don't wake up and think, let me make a list of people I'm going to go out and take an AK to.
Yeah.
So somebody like that needs to, even if they didn't do it, they need to be monitored 100% of the time, and not just this person. That's an easy access to at least start. It doesn't solve everything, but it's a start, and it could have saved 20 people's lives if that was the case. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more about what's going on, best non-conference matchups. We'll get to sports facts you didn't know, and also more with the Pensacola Blue Wahoos as they continue on a tear. And tonight, 6:35, beautiful night, First Tee in Northwest Florida. former co-host and friend of mine, Marty Stanovich, does a great job with the First Tee, running the nonprofit right there, helping kids succeed and get opportunities for scholarships through golf and life lessons. Will be out there getting honored at the game. We're coming back for more right here on the Sports Drive.
The Gulf Coast is a boating playground, and every boater knows that boats need maintenance. George Stone Technical College is offering program scholarships for marine service technology classes with an instructor who has over 30 years experience in the field and has classes backed by Yamaha Training. To learn about the salary in marine service technology, check the schedule and how much the program will cost to graduate. Visit georgestoncollege.edu. That's georgestoncollege.edu.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-285-4954. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-285-4954. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-285-4954. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-285-4954. 800-285-4954.
Every home run. There's a swing and a drive out to left. Pache at the track, at the wall. It is gone! Every strikeout. Here comes the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike three. Whether they're home or away, every minute of every Blue Wahoos game. And the ball game is over with one of the greatest comebacks in the history of this Wahoos franchise. This is the home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Sports is live and local every Saturday from 11 to 1.
Kawhi, him and his free agency, or him just sitting around waiting to sign with the team, had a lot to do with more than just the Lakers. There were other teams that were tied into this trade as well to determine their next moves. And for the Lakers, they still haven't finalized the Anthony Davis deal.
Sports Call with Jordan Glass and Davis Allen on your radio, on Facebook, and YouTube.
Southern California basketball is going to be what everybody's paying attention to this upcoming season.
At ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Valvoline is the only motor oil brand with a dedicated engine lab. And here, we test everything. We test seal conditioners to keep older engines from leaking. We test detergents to help reduce soot. We test additives that protect against wear, increase fuel economy, and fight carbon buildup. Why? Because we won't settle for being less than the best, and you shouldn't either. Valvoline, trusted for 150 years. Now at Advanced Auto Parts, buy Valvoline full synthetic high mileage with Max Life technology and a filter for only $33.99. See store for restrictions and details.
And welcome back to the Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola 94.5 and on Blab TV. Thanks for joining us as always. You can go to our Facebook page and watch us daily, or if you missed it, tell your friends. You always can go back and watch. Also on YouTube at ESPN Pensacola 94.5. So many different ways to interact and have fun with us, and replayed midnight to 2 a.m. right there on Blab TV each and every night. So multiple. If you just driving in right now, you're jumping in the store real quick, coming back, you got a chance to watch and have some fun. And then all those things we talk about with, like today, went with more of the toupee style hair. You can see I changed it up a little. That's how I felt today. So it's been that kind of day. But this is something that you can check out, because that's such an intricate part of why people listen to sports radio is what style my hair is.
Well, we talked about
obviously
it.
that's why people get in the car.
Over the weekend on
that's
Facebook
right.
about switching hairstyles. So you went to the comb to the side.
You got to think it got to be glued in the car if you want. Yeah.
So I will be a man of my word, and one day this week I'll go with the spiky look.
By the way, the nonsense of the week I had to deal with was a man walking by my house when I was mowing the grass. my toe. We've been at the hospital with, haven't been able to do much.
Right.
Don't feel bad. It's a toe. But at the same time, Jeff George is like, but I missed the season. Was out there finally getting to cut the grass. But some guy who was power walking, it's an Olympic sport, folks. He was in his 70s and he was reading a book. I don't know. This guy was very much multitasking and looked like he was on some type of speed or cocaine. And he was walking very fast, but he looked over and he was annoyed that my lawnmower was interfering with his knowledge of the book at my house. And I really just want to be like, but I obviously. But I mean, seriously, the loser of the day in my neighborhood goes to that guy.
Are you on a riding or a push mower?
No, it's down hills. I deli slice the sides.
I would have just pushed right next to him and just been reading the book with him as he goes.
Oh, just follow him down the street with the mower.
Oh man, this is a great book. Great choice on this book.
Sir, you are a loser. You deserve that. Looking at some of the things going on, best non-conference matchups. We got a lot. It's not the best year. It's not. And remember,
we've got a couple of good ones, but yeah.
When these games are set, though, for those people that said that, like when Louisville and Alabama was set last year, it was supposed to be a very big game.
Right.
That was set back in the days when Bobby Petrino was driving straight. It was set in days when the Bridgewaters to guys like Lamar Jackson, like some competitive games. So they're not predicting the future. If you set an Alabama and Clemson matchup for 2025, and Dabo and Nick Saban left and all the quarterbacks, which is not going to happen, but if those two, that game was prime time at the time.
Oh, yeah.
So some of these games, like Florida State always plays, that's different. But an Oklahoma UCLA game sounded pretty good 6 years ago when they set that. Teams like when you look at a Oregon versus Auburn game, that was the national title game when Cam Newton was there. And a beautiful stained glass window went up in Duluth, Georgia. Notre Dame at Michigan's back this year. But you can't always judge it this season because 5, 6 years, 7, sometimes 8, 9 years down the road behind us is that's when the game is played.
Right, yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people admit. Oh, well, that's not a good game. Well, we don't know that at the time. We know Washington State and Houston. Washington State's better than Houston now. 3 or 4 years back, Houston would have beat them by 40. It's all about the relativity of the time. And Nebraska, Colorado, game's going to be played this year. It was the big that was the Big 12 title game. Bobby Purifoy name came in there. They crushed them. Nebraska still got to go and get their whooped in by Miami. I was at that game at the Rose Bowl, Pasadena, and sitting there looking at that game. Now both of those teams are not even in the Big 12. Nebraska's in the Big 10. Colorado's out in the Pac-12 with more multicolored uniforms. So it's funny how times will change real fast. But I think the best game, the game, there's the top 3. Here is my top 3. Big bucket list of the games that I care the most. Texas A&M at Clemson. Because even though Clemson should be a heavy favorite, Texas A&M showed as a team they're building that strength and physicality.
Right.
If you're going to beat a great team, you're not going to be able to do what they do and beat them.
Yeah.
You have to just hit them in the teeth. And that's what Texas A&M was showing that they were getting better doing. They went from a mindset of Kevin Sumlin, we can try to score 60 against you, but if we do against a good team, they're going to score 100. And Jimbo's trying to get more of that pro style, more physical, and I think that's going to be fun to watch. Next, love LSU at Texas. Both these teams are trying to prove LSU's been there before, but most people think Ed O is always good but not great. He's always he's not at the Saban, he's not at the Dabo, obviously. He's probably not even at the Jimbo, but at the same time he is a guy that is one of them and he can win enough games. And Texas, Tom Herman paid a lot of money. They're getting better every year. Them and Florida are riding the biggest high right now, coming in after being able to beat Georgia and Florida able to beat Michigan in the bowl games. So you have 2 teams right now, Jordan, that LSU at Texas game right there, September 7th, is going to be exciting. And that's huge also for recruiting grounds because you talk about where they're at. That's huge for the vicinity right there in that lower South Texas area.
Yeah.
When you're looking at the southeast part, Galveston area, that area right around Houston, that whole area is huge for talking about recruiting compared to Baton Rouge and Shreveport and everywhere LSU goes for too. That's their stomping ground. Florida and Georgia will compete for the Valdosta areas, and we're going to talk to Brent Baird of College Sports Notebook, who lives right there in the stomping grounds in Jacksonville. But that's their area. And so that game's huge for many reasons for the future as well. Looking at the other game to me that I'm really looking forward to is that Notre Dame at Georgia game. And that's one that's obviously huge. I think Auburn's going to be able to take care of Oregon. I do believe that their defensive interior is one of the best that it is arguably with Alabama and Clemson. And Clemson, remember, lost pretty much the entire defensive front to the first round of the NFL draft.
Yeah.
But there's a few teams, Auburn's one of them. Defensively, they're going to hit people. And Gus Malzahn has a lot to prove right now that play calling is in his hands. Remember, he was looked at as one of the most innovative minds. When people think Gene Chizik and national championship, the guy that was booing him and Jay Jacobs when they got off the plane, we want a leader and not a loser. Coming from Iowa State with a 5-18 record when he stepped in. And then Cam Newton steps in and voila, won 6 games that year by a touchdown or less. It was the difference between going to a Music City Bowl or going to the national title game and winning it against Oregon. That was the difference, was Cam Newton. One of the best for one season, could be argued for one season, the best quarterback of all time in college football. It can be argued. I'm not saying it is, but you start making that list for one season. Vince Young, Tim Tebow, Tommy Frazier. Those guys are on that list. Charlie Ward's of the world, he's on that list. Jameis Winston, whether you like him or not, went undefeated, was beating people by 30. Cam's definitely on that list. And people talked about Gus Malzahn and that innovative, creative offensive technique was the reason. Then he gets in as coaching some coordinators. They bump heads. Remember Chip Lindsey, who had a chance to talk to Down when he was at McGuire's for the Troy Caravan coming into town. He's the new head coach of the Troy Trojans. A lot of Troy fans around here. We wish him the best of luck. Nice guy. He's got the Mr. Clean thing going on. And he's out. Now they brought in some guy who's young that Malzahn can take care of business. And I think that's going to be exciting to see. And remember, when they went in and roasted Purdue, a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off out there talking about Purdue. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a exciting step in the right direction after a 8-5 season for a team that expects a lot more. But obviously when you have a schedule of Oregon at a conference before you even get to the big dogs in the SEC West, and you have to play Georgia every year, regardless, because you are right there, and Florida, it's not going to be that easy.
No, I think as far as my list goes, I agree with you for the 2 games of LSU, Texas, Notre Dame, Georgia. I agree with you on the fact that I think Auburn's going to take care of business to start off the season against Oregon, much like they did against Washington last year. They're just a better, stronger, more physical football team, so I think they win that. Where I'm going to go different on your list is I'm going to stick with Texas A&M, but I'm going to go with Texas A&M, Alabama, in College Station because it's going to be right up there with the Texas.
Yeah, but this is non-conference matchups.
We are doing non-conference matchups. That's right. Okay, never mind.
Everything I said, I'll give you a chance to totally redeem yourself. No, I mean, I'm just kidding with you. But
because my thinking when you said that, I was like, I like that, but Alabama's actually going to have some SEC West implications. But now you're right. We are doing. That's what I get for. We've got a show run down here. That's what I get for reading ahead.
That's all right. This is like one of. We've worked together for like 6 years, and that's the first time I think I print out a show note. People think this is a prop, this computer. It never actually works. But, so people, we just...
I always assumed baseball was on it, so...
Just, that's what Jeffrey D is going to join us, and he's going to actually bring stats to the table. We make everything up. We're coming back. We're going to talk with Brent Baird of College Sports Notebook and Lindy Sports as we'll break down some of those non-conference matchups. We'll get to more on what's going on right now in Georgia. Will their wide receiving core step up after losing their top 4 from last season? There's a bunch of 5-star recruits waiting to be the next Justin Ross, the guy from Clemson who you went, dang. Coming back for more right here in the Sports Drive.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Hey, this is Bomani on the latest episode of The Right Time. We're talking about Ezekiel Elliott's holdout, Jeremy Lin, what he's going through, and the latest installment of The Right Time Book Club with Lanae O'Neill of The Undefeated. Be sure to check us out wherever you get your podcast.
What's up, Sky Van Pelt here, Episode 2, SVP and Russillo. We make some lists, which, as you know, I'm not good at. Tons of NBA content. Russillo invented a game. It's called Line Movers. SVP and Russillo podcast. Find it on the ESPN app and Apple Podcast.
Coach K brings football to life year-round. The teams, the players, and the front office.
Well, we're very appreciative to Dabo Swinney, the head coach of the national champion Clemson Tigers, to take the time to be with us.
Talk football with Coach K every day at noon on your radio.
He does possess the skills necessary to play and be successful in the National Football League or anywhere else.
And Coach K live on Facebook and YouTube at ESPN Pensacola 945.
What do I cherish? Precious moments watching Dad read to my little Eric. That's why I'm so grateful I insisted on an eye exam when I noticed him struggling with the words on the page. We found out Dad has age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. Luckily, the doctor caught it in time for treatment, so Dad can still read. Protect yourself and your loved ones. Call the Foundation Fighting Blindness today at 1-800-254-6552 for a free packet on preventing and managing AMD. That's 1-800-254-6552.
If you've bought Nike or Adidas shoes lately, I'm sorry. Sorry that you didn't just get yourself some Skechers. Because Skechers have all the performance and comfort you could ever dream of for less. Just ask Skechers elite runner Edward Cheserek, who tied the world record for the fastest 5K. Or the nurse who's comfortable on her feet all day thanks to Skechers air-cooled memory foam. Or people wearing Skechers Go Walks who feel like they're walking on clouds. They'll all say no shoes perform better and are as comfortable as Skechers. Find Skechers at a Skechers store near you or wherever stylish shoes are sold.
Pensacola Beach isn't just a sun-soaked white sand paradise. It's also the best dance floor in 50 states. Every Tuesday night, the stage near the Beach Mall comes alive with great music you know and love. Bands on the Beach are free shows every Tuesday through October, and they're brought to you by the Santa Rosa Island Authority. Tomorrow,
Christy D's Bad Juju rockin' Bands on the Beach. They play everything from classic to current, top 40, R&B, soul, blues, funk, and original music from a whole bunch of genres.
Join us for live music every Tuesday night at 7 for Bands on the Beach.
And welcome back. Sports Drive with you right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5, Blab TV. Thanks for joining us 5:34 this Monday right here in Pensacola. Joining us now to talk some college football as he does every single Monday over in Jacksonville. It's got to be a little upset. The Jumbo Shrimp have lost some big games lately in AA baseball. But joining us now from College Sports Notebook, Brent Baird. Brent, what's happening, my friend?
Good, Chad. Doing well. Just waiting on some scrimmages to be going on over the next few days. That will be number one for some of these schools. The Gators have got one coming up. I believe it's tonight or tomorrow, depending on if the weather holds out. Auburn's got one on Thursday, so that's the fun thing about this time of year is once it happens that that we have started, we get a little more information all the time, and it should be fun to see where these guys go and come.
Brent, now we're in from talking about the teams getting ready to actual football talk. I mean, 19 days away. We're right there. That's one, as I say, good Johnny Manziel hangover away from the Florida and Miami game. So we're sitting here, and we're looking at some of the biggest transfers. I mean, even guys like Brandon Wimbush, who wasn't even on the radar, is going to get probably a chance to at least compete for the job and win it with all the injuries. But Kelly Bryant going to Missouri, which at one point, remember, he was right there in the mix to go to a national title game as a starter. Jalen Hurts, same thing. Played in a national title game right there, is now at Oklahoma. But from Tate Martell to Austin Kendall, competing in that job with Jalen, by the way, all these jobs across the board, this has been huge for transfers, and even guys like Jacob Eason, who had to wait a year and now get a chance at Washington. What do you think when you see some of the new faces and new places? Who are you the most intrigued by?
I think
and Justin Fields at Ohio State, obviously,
is interesting. But I'll say this about what I've heard about that is, again, because of Hurts problems in throwing the ball down the field. Have heard that they may have a situation there, Chad, where remember the name Spencer Rattler? That's a great name for a quarterback.
That's awesome right there.
Rattler may be the quarterback starting there by the end of the year. There's a little bit of that is going on. Jacob Eason, you mentioned at Washington, who will not be at Georgia. And speaking of that, I think the problem that you've got right now at Georgia, again, is if Jake Fromm gets hurt, what they've got to deal with, that is how thin they're going to be there is very disturbing. Nome, Alabama, now we see is going from Alabama to Houston, it looks like. That's unfortunate for Alabama, but he had some difficulty within the university, and they suspended him, and he was not coming back. So, but you're right. It will be a very interesting to see where this goes this year with transfers.
Brent, as we take a look at some of the matchups, the conversation with Auburn. Was listening in a little with Paul Feinbaum today, and Joey Gatewood looks like he seems a little more to have, I guess, the early lean at starting, and we don't know, but at the same time, Bo Nix might be the future, like what we saw with Trevor Lawrence, like what we saw with Tua, like we saw with many teams, with true freshmen getting an opportunity. But who do you think should be the guy that gets that nod? And it's only a 2.5-point spread. In my heart, I know that Oregon's going to be better. Justin Herbert comes back, but I watched that team get beat up by some pretty weak teams last year. Why would Auburn lose this game, and who do you think will start?
Auburn would lose it if they did make a lot of mistakes and had to go back and forth with the quarterback situation. Probably Gatewood has got the most experience, but I mean that's by a hair, so he doesn't have much. But I would go with him. I mean, I think he knows the system. He knows where what Malzahn wants. So I would go with Gatewood right now. Out of the box. Now, I think they're going to try to make that decision after the first scrimmage, or certainly soon after the first scrimmage, which Malzahn likes to do. I think Auburn will win the game. Now, the better quarterback of all of them is Justin Herbert of Oregon. But look, Auburn has such a better line of scrimmage that their defensive line is going to be similar to what Clemson had last year. So Chad, in games like this, I will always give the advantage to the SEC for the line of scrimmage.
You can follow Brent at Brent Baird, BEAIRD on Twitter to check out the latest and what's happening in college football. Brent, we look right now what they put together for the group of people that is going to hear cases outside of the NCAA. They pretty much put a committee together of a couple former FBI director like Tom Free, and you got Mars out there, Attorney Mars, that are going to be handling situations outside of the NCAA that they sort of said, you go ahead and take care of this, like the Mitchell Report in baseball. What do you think of that, and do you think it will last to have that group?
No, I don't. I'm not sure. This is just not a Band-Aid. Something temporary in order for them to make up their mind on where they want to go with this. It was kind of bizarre in some ways. I still think in committees like that, the problem is you don't have enough people who either understand football or are close enough to it that can cause you to make some better decisions, and I think that's what the issues you got there.
Brent, when you look right now at the Florida Gators, we know that Dan Mullen can work with quarterbacks. Felipe Franks, underneath Dan last year, showed his improvement each and every week, and I think has the confidence, which for a young quarterback is one of the bright spots of college football, is watching a guy develop and get better and gaining that from being a kid to an adult and learning the system. But the offensive line, it's inexperienced, lost some guys to the NFL, to the pros or just seniors. What do you think? Will they be able to still maintain that offensive balance? Because we know the defense is going to be solid, but is the inexperience of the offensive line for Florida, what are you hearing around Gainesville? Is that a major concern for where they want to grow?
Well, it has to be, and particularly because Miami's, if they've got an advantage in this game, it's going to be their front seven on defense against the Florida's offensive line. Brett Hagee has got to be healthy and continue to be that way. Now, you've got some guys like Stone Forsythe, who now has been there long enough, Chad, where he's ready to come along and develop. So what does that mean for this game? It means that if that's a weakness for Florida, what do they do to overcome that? And I think what they do to overcome that would be for Felipe Franks to either get the ball out quicker, to what I think is a very good receiving core, or be able to concentrate to run the ball and make a real effort, because the skill position of Florida, frankly, as good as anybody in the league. You hit on it. Now, what I understand and what I've heard is their first team has worked out fairly well. The problem is they just don't have a lot of depth right now at all on that second team. They're somewhat paper thin, so that first team just got to stay healthy until that second team can get up to speed.
Brent, you got Alabama. They get to take on Duke in a game that it shouldn't be much of a problem. This is not basketball season. And Daniel Jones, the number one quarterback taken, is now gone from the Blue Devils right there. You look at their schedule this year, and obviously when you play in the West, you're going to take on the Auburns, the LSUs, A&Ms regardless. But it sets up well for them out of conference this year. Is there any chance that Alabama does not win the West? Because I've looked at this, and I know I was watching some of the ESPNU shows, and I know people want to be different. They want to pull that Skip Bayless card and try to stir the pot. But nobody can truly believe that somebody outside of Alabama is going to win the West. And this is coming from I could lose dinner by saying that with an LSU wife at home.
No, I think Alabama is able to win the West, and I think they might even end up winning the West comfortably because they've got a week off before they play the toughest teams on their schedule, i.e. A&M, LSU. You could say they got one before Auburn, frankly, as they normally do by playing a much weaker opponent. This is a national championship team that has a national championship schedule.
It's going to be, we quickly jumped into, after Tua got injured in that game against Georgia in the SEC title game, and then a tough going up against what can go down when we look back in the history books, maybe the best defensive line in the history of college football. And I know that sometimes you don't just throw those things out, but you had a team that was missing Dexter Lawrence and still had three guys on that line that won in the first round of the NFL draft. I mean, you're talking freak mode kind of guys up front for Clemson, and they're not. Those guys are gone. Even though you can try to replace them, that was the difference. Is the push forward last year for Alabama went backwards for the first time we've seen in decades with a team that actually was able to hit them in the mouth just as hard in Clemson. It's going to be hard to reproduce that with that many guys gone. I am picking Alabama to win the national title. Not that anyone cares, but I think that this year, with that receiving core, with Tua, throwing the football to guys like Ruggs and Judy, and having that defense, a lot of those guys returning, where Clemson's defensive front is not going to be able to come and put so much pressure this year, even though they do have Trevor Lawrence. Man, I think people quickly forgot how good that team was last year.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. And look, that was a big issue, but I think that just as big of an issue was how bad Alabama was in that game on defense. So look, you can't take anything away from Clemson. Clemson won the game, but constantly Alabama was out of position, i.e. Mac Wilson was one of those guys that at times did not know where to line up. They had such a mismatch in the secondary at times was the other issue with that Trevor Lawrence took advantage of. I'm with you. I really do think that Alabama's going to win it again, too. But I think the thing that we got, when you look at Clemson's schedule, if they get past A&M, which I think they will, I don't see anybody in the ACC giving them any issue this year, frankly, at all. So, but because of that, I think Clemson's schedule will get them into the college football playoffs again themselves, because frankly, the league, Chad, they just don't have any competition.
He's Brent Baird, College Sports Notebook, 1010 XL Radio in Jacksonville. You can check him out on First Coast News, Florida Gator Podcast Show, and more. Brent, we always appreciate your time, and, man, we're right around the corner now, 19 days until Toe Meets Leather.
Well, that's what's so exciting about it. As we talked last week, now everyone's in camp. We've got scrimmages coming up. Now, again, there have been a whole lot of injuries, thankfully. Anthony Schwartz, the incredibly fast receiver at Auburn, is one of the few that's going to be out for a little bit. He's going to have the hand surgery, but beyond that, I love this time of year to see how these teams come together. Chad, always great to hear from you, and you were right. Before we turn around, Canes and Gators will be right in front of us.
It's pretty exciting, and everybody's staying off those scooters in Gainesville, right?
Maybe a little bit.
Brent, always great to catch up, my friend, and we'll do it again here soon.
You too, brother. Take care.
All right, when we come back, we're going to break down a little college football, have some fun with Jeffrey D., our college sports guru, and get to more Blue Wahoos baseball. 6:35 tonight, first pitch as they continue outscoring their opponents 13-2 over the weekend, including a few pitches away from a no-no. You can hear that with Chris Garagiola, who sat down with Peter King from HBO and NBC just a few days back, and you never know who you're going to get at the Wahoos game right there. And 6:35, ESPN Pensacola will have the call. We're coming back for more right here in the Sports Drive.
Bowling is a sport that will last you a lifetime, and at Cordova Lanes on Airport Boulevard, every night there is something exciting happening. Like on Tuesday and Thursday, it's penny a pin. Bowl $100, pay $1. Or how about starting your weekend off right by reserving a lane for just $25 at Moonlight Bowling. Enjoy a fresh-made pizza and the lowest pitcher prices in Pensacola. So what are you waiting for? It's time to roll your way into Cordova Lanes and experience fun like never before.
All right, it's time for some straight talk. You wouldn't pay $100 for seats to a baseball game where you can get the same seats for $50. So why pay more on your wireless when you can get the same 4G LTE networks for up to half the cost? For $45 a month, get our unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data from Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Coach K brings football to life year-round. The teams, the players, and the front office.
Well, we're very appreciative to Dabo Swinney, the head coach of the national champion Clemson Tigers, to take the time to be with us.
Talk football with Coach K every day at noon on your radio.
He does possess the skills necessary to play and be successful in the National Football League or anywhere else.
And Coach K live on Facebook and YouTube at ESPN Pensacola 945.
Whatever superpower I would have, I would use it for good for me and evil upon everyone else. I'd like to be able to see the future. That way I have all the Super Bowl winners, World Series winners, I have all the odds. Like, I am betting things. I would put a future play in right now on who wins the 2032 Super Bowl. How about that?
So you want to be Biff?
I am Biff from Back in the Future.
Download and subscribe to Stupidity right now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
There's only one natural ingredient that could instantly shift your mood, help you focus, lower stress, and boost your self-confidence. It's available everywhere, works immediately, is affordable, and can change the quality of your life forever. It's called playing music.
Side effects include restless foot syndrome, spontaneous undulation, and can be highly contagious. If a smile doesn't last for more than 4 hours, consult your nearest music store.
Just play. Your prescription to a better life. Brought to you by the NAM Foundation.
New Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline is engineered with 4 levels of defense against gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. It's sort of like having ninjas protect your engine. That helps keep your engine running like new. New Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. It's fuel for thought in engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline.
Welcome back. Sports Drive with you right here, 5:52 on this Monday evening. Thoughts and prayers go out to the folks in Texas, in Ohio this week. It was a tough week overall, and there's many other things happening out there in the world each and every day. Many people lose their lives, but mass shootings like this in one weekend, 29 people dying, is sad. And if you want to get into the politics side of it, or one of those 72 messages where you say see more and then it's like a whole entire book on Facebook, different show, because News Radio 92.3 downstairs, 1620, they got political people that are going to be talking about it all day. We get to focus our mind away from that and get ready for college football and have some fun. Or the Marlins might not be winning. I think they're getting smoked right now by the, as you would expect, by many people in the Major League Baseball, but the Mets. But the Rays go out, and they swept them this week. And Miami came back on Twitter. They won the Twitter war. They might have lost the series, got the brooms out, but they did win on Twitter. The Miami Marlins have apologized, but they premeditated. They knew what they were doing when they did this. Here was Miami sends a video. He's the man your third baseman coach warned you about. And that's all. See, here's the thing. I'm the same feeling in the same way as a person. This wasn't being sent out there for anybody to get involved. But then you came at him, and fire and brimstone's coming back at you. I feel the same way on a lot of things. Like, I'm never going to say anything bad about someone, even if like that lady shouldn't be in those jeans or that guy shouldn't be wearing that toupee. I'm never going to say something to somebody. But if a guy in a toupee that was like 400 pounds and wearing like a medium shirt came up to me and was like, "Look at your hair, you moron," I'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. What kind of ditch did you wake up under?" All of a sudden, it's on. Like it has become. It's on. That guy. I was minding my own business, and he came at me. So Miami puts this out there. Just, he's the man your third baseman coach warned about, and he got the Tampa Bay Ray at home. And Tampa comes back and says, "Show the final out, please. Victory. #victory." All right, we weren't involving you with the blue check mark Tampa Bay Rays. So Miami comes back and says, "Can't hear you. Must be the maple leaves crunching." If you're a baseball fan, you get that, trying to share with Montreal. We've already gone over the names, like the Tampa Bay A's or the Sacre Bleu. But looking at the Tampa Bay Rays, they come back. Here's the broom we just used on you, so you can clean up that mess. Miami comes back. "You're literally the animal that killed Steve Irwin. Log off." Like, whoa! All of a sudden, that conversation has gone to a whole different aspect here. Now, wow! Now we're getting into it. And Tampa comes back. "You're literally a team that just got swept. Log off," and they go back. But they've now apologized. But Miami is, at least whoever is running their check mark. This isn't like Mr. Marlin fan 2.6. It's Marlins actual organization blue check mark. Nothing like a little Florida heated battle on Twitter to get it going, because the baseball is awful. So tip of the cap to Marlins for actually being relevant this weekend in baseball. Kudos to you. Joining us now, Jeffrey D. Always joins on such a positive note here on the show. Jeff Davis joins us here with Jordan Glass and myself. Jeff, how's your week?
It's started off well here on Monday.
You haven't gone after the Marlins on Twitter?
No, I haven't, but that is interesting that we've got a Tampa Bay, Miami Marlin, Florida Marlin war here on Twitter, because there's a lot of, remember the Stetson, University of Florida baseball Twitter war, whenever Stetson got ahead of the Gators 11-0 in the fourth inning, and it was raining in Gainesville, and Sullivan said, "Hey, why don't we call this thing? It's probably going to rain the rest of the night." We just looked at the weather radar, and so they called it. And of course, the Stetson Twitter feed just heated up, and like, what a bunch of chickens up there in Gainesville and so forth. And so that was interesting. And then and don't we have like some weird stuff coming out of Florida State recently? With
Jameis hasn't been there in like 5 years.
Number 16 and number 4 and all that kind of stuff.
The countdown to the game day. Yeah,
yes,
yeah. And then don't forget with Florida, also Florida Gulf Coast with the men's basketball tournament a couple of years ago when they had Dunk City down there. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, Dunk U.
And I had a mess with some of my Florida. Yeah, look, Florida State. You got to embrace, if you're one of those teams that knows you have a window, very short window of messing with people, even if they care or not, because they still win the we don't care about you, UCF, like kind of thing. You still got to mess with them. And I mess with you guys, even though you guys, I grew up going to Gator games. Nobody grew up like, hey, let's go to the Dante Culpepper games, unless you went to UCF. That was the thing. If you see a guy in a UCF shirt or a fake national title squad, don't hit me with your card at Publix, by the way. And second, it's probably somebody that went there. It's probably Tom Bailey and the folks over there, good people at Seville. Those are good UCF fans. They're fans. They went to the school. When you talk about Florida, it could just be somebody that wants to wear orange and blue, and there's a good deal on a shirt. That's the same thing with Alabama, same thing. And it's not doesn't make you a bad fan, but that's just the truth of the fact. If you're wearing a school like UCF or USF, you probably went there. If you're wearing Alabama, Florida State, you might just be a fan. And for Florida State, they put on that #OneTribe. I text my friend, and I said, whoa. And Jeff Cameron, who works for ESPN Tallahassee, and some of the guys, I was like, guys, you misspelled win. And they wrote question mark, and I was like, it says tribe. And they're like, okay, all right, you got it. #OneWin. But that's going to be you got to just go with people on that and just have fun with it. And, it's going to be a better season. It can't get worse. First impressions. Yeah, I guess Aaron Sanchez wins the award this week for Houston. The Houston Astros, in sort of ancillary news of the week, the Houston Astros had a pitcher who had a 6 ERA for the Blue Jays. He wasn't getting things done, and he was getting punched in the mouth for the BJs, and all of a sudden, he goes out there for Houston and pitches collectively a no-hitter in his first. To try to make an impact with that rotation, adding Zach Greinke, well, how do you do it? Starts on your first impression by pitching a no-hitter. Willie Taggart, lesson learned. We're coming back for more right here in the Sports Drive.
This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 945. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.
Looking Gannon, throws up the middle. At the 40, Derek Brooks 30, Brooks to the 29, he's getting Derek Brooks all the way. Touchdown Tampa Bay. Derek Brooks, the dagger's in. We're going to win the Super Bowl.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket, and this time his name is Bubba.
Pitch on the way. Russell drives one in the air. Deep left center. That's back near the wall. It's got a chance. Grand slam. Grand slam, Addison Russell.
The new WNBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
And Richardson breaks free on the sideline. End zone. How about that? Bama scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trick Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmitt Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And these them Louisiana, Pensacola guys, they looking crazy and all that.
Morris, blocked by the tight end call. That opens up the door. Breaking the coverage tackle. To the pylon. Touchdown.
Really nice effort there by Alfred Morris, extending that ball over the goal line.
Near side Baldwin's had a big game. Doug Baldwin's got a first down. Doug Baldwin, 93 yards, now has back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Reggie Evans, and he's going to get an ovation. Guy from Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome back. Sports Drive with you. ESPN Pensacola 94.5 and on Blab TV. Thanks for joining us. Second hour of the program goes now. Coming up at 6:35, Pensacola Blue Wahoos baseball. The Wahoos on a tear. A 10-1 win on Sunday and a 3-1 win, almost a no-hitter, on Saturday night. Craig Kimbrell sort of looks like him and Justin Turner could do some kind of St. Patrick's Day festival together without having to dress up. Just walking the streets like they're just wearing jeans and like a polo, and people are like, St. Patrick's Day. He looks like a leprechaun. And at the same time, he's good. It's a good look if he's winning. 0-2, almost a 6 ERA. He got $43 million in guaranteed money over the next 3 years after battling of who's going to pick him up. Remember him and Dallas Keuchel, who's going to pick these guys up. Kimbrell gets signed by the Cubs, and it hasn't been great. WHIP is walks, hits, innings pitch, which means how many people you allow on base. Out of a closer, you don't want to get anybody on base because you're coming in games with 3 runs or less. A lot of times 1-run games. So you'd rather not put somebody on base. His WHIP is almost a 2. So think about it that way. He's allowing 2 walks or hits per inning. So he's making everybody in that stands about to try to sing Go Cubs Go, sweating it out. Because he gets a couple. I remember Gary Sanchez last year when the Yankees and Sox in that final game, and he hits one guy in the foot, then allows the next guy. Chris Sale pitched to Jem, and it comes in, and then all of a sudden Sanchez hit that ball that just missed the wall from the Red Sox, losing that series. And I'm sitting there like, this guy is the guy making $20 million a year and almost blew the whole game right there. Well, he comes in today. He's on the 10-day DL as he was injured. He'll join Wilson Contreras. Cubs, they had that season, but I think the humbleness of baseball, it is a game where patience as a fan, you wait 100 years, Black Cat, Steve Bartman, all this thing, you win. Addison Russell gets the keys to the city, and obviously poor choices since that in the news and the things that have happened. You look at the Cubs, it's a humbling game. Think about San Francisco as a Giant fan. Win a World Series, don't make the playoffs. Win a World Series, don't make the playoffs. Kansas City Royals, Red Sox. We won the World Series last year. We're not going to win it this year. Come on now. Houston and L.A. are the 2 teams consistently going to be there. Everybody else is trying to be part of the movement. The Yankees will pay you, then you get hurt. They've just put 3 more guys. Edwin Encarnacion. I was watching that game last night. Red Sox and Yanks. Yanks win. Giovanni Urshela hits himself in the leg. I've never seen this. Hits himself in the leg on a foul ball, and one of those just, strawberries on the leg. He's hurt. Gets back up, limping, can barely move. One of those kind of movies where he gets back up in the plate. Fouls the ball off onto his leg again 2 times in a row, and, man, he's in pain, serious pain, and the whole entire dugout's just cracking up. They're like, we have never seen this happen, and that was crazy, but it's just the bug that is hitting people on sometimes. It's like the Gators a few years ago with the preseason of injuries. Sometimes it's how the cookie crumbles. And, Jeff, I think this year, let's get to some college football talk. The Florida Gators have stayed healthy, but we were talking with Brent Baird, and I know you were listening on your way in from doing a more important job to society and banking, and you were coming in and talking about how the inexperience of that offensive line and Miami's defensive line is going to be something that is going to be one of the keys of the game. We're 19 days away. We're pumped. Northwest Florida Gator Club, Alan, all the good folks, be down at Seville Quarter. Looking forward to that. But talk about that game and what to you as a fan is going to be the biggest difference in that matchup play. If Florida wins, which is expected, is going to become blank offensively and blank defensively. And I'm not cursing it.
I think that the biggest question on the Gator side was the offensive line. And in the last week, we've heard press conferences with both Dan Mullen and also the offensive coordinator, John Hevesy, and they both said, listen, they're ones. our starting unit is golden. These guys, and a lot of them are fourth-year juniors or fifth-year seniors that have just been on the bench behind the other guys, and so they're very comfortable with them. They went through the spring with them. They took all the reps and all those scrimmages with the number one offense, number one defense during the spring, and they're just comfortable. There's about three guys that they might be able to trust off the bench. One of them, Richard Garage, who can play either right or left tackle, and also Ethan White, a true freshman, a guy that's lost about 50 pounds since he's gotten to Florida in this conditioning program. They really like he still weighs 350 and he can drive. He weighed 400 pounds when he got to Florida, but he had quick feet in high school. And so they've got a little bit of depth. They have to develop the depth though, because if you have injuries on the offensive line, and you don't have anything behind it, then the continuity goes haywire. You start missing blocks, and you start looking like what Florida State did last year.
No, I mean, that is a very fair point, and I think there was a great thing that I picked up. Florida released a video from their practice, I think it was yesterday, actually. Might have been over the weekend, but it was basically Felipe Frank mic'd up during a practice, and you can tell that the emphasis this year is making the offensive line better. Dan Mullen knows that that's going to be the weakness of the offense, and they are working. Felipe Franks was constantly talking about the offensive line got to be better. We're only good when the offensive line is good. When they're feeling swag, we're feeling swag. Things like that was what he was saying. So it's nice to hear that mentality has been put into the quarterback, the running backs, the receivers, that they know they're going to go through how that offensive line plays, and they're doing a good job of making sure that those guys, if they miss a block, keeping their minds in the right spot. Don't let them drop too far, because it's a mental game up front too.
But Jordan, I don't know if you saw it, but there's been a lot of rave reviews of Felipe Franks from the coaching staff. We had Hevesy come out and say he's as talented as any college football player I've ever been around, and he meant it. And then the quarterback coach Brian Johnson said this guy's got unlimited ceiling. I think that these guys believe that Felipe Franks is going to take it to the next level. He's almost 6'6", 245 pounds.
Right, yeah, and you can tell that confidence. And it's funny because you hear Dan Mullen talk about what he really wanted from Felipe Franks last year. He never really got. And that was him being comfortable, him having fun. The video of Dan Mullen dancing on the sideline, then kind of shoving Felipe Franks in the first game. That was him trying to get that mentality into Felipe Franks. And hey, we're up big. Have fun. You can have fun, cut loose a little bit, and still play the game. You saw that in that same video I was talking about a moment ago. You saw Felipe Franks. He was leading the team. He was confident, but he was also out there dancing around, having fun during warm-ups and stretching. And this Felipe Franks that you're going to see in 2019 is going to be brand new Felipe Franks, because Dan Mullen definitely put a little surge of confidence in him.
All right. It's time for me to be frank.
Yeah.
Here. No. Listen. And this isn't 1-2. On ESPN, if you've listened in at that time. This is not for me to attack people for anything. I made some comments on Felipe Franks throughout the year, not like attacking him personally, well, sort of. But
you weren't wrong, though.
But I wasn't wrong. That's what I'm saying. I wasn't wrong. But let's not make this person Mother Teresa now. What I'm saying is,
absolutely not.
Mother Teresa threw a 90-yard spot. No, but when it comes down
I heard
to,
it was 89.
Listen,
but, all right.
Okay, let's not. Felipe Franks has the tools. He is like a guy, if you were forming the guy on one of those video games where you build them, when you fake everybody and you put yourself 99 speed, you create yourself and you just run downfield and beat everybody down there. You're forming the superhuman, 6'6", 240. He can run, he can throw. Best Hail Mary of the year last year against Tennessee. We can say that. 2 years ago. But when it comes down to making the decisions and being smart, that doesn't happen overnight. And I know what Dan Mullen, and Dan Mullen is going to, Dan Mullen's smart enough to interject offensive game plans around his strengths and not his weaknesses. I think that is a good way to put that, is Dan Mullen is working with him to know, okay, you know what? This guy might not have been my guy at the beginning. He got Emory Jones and some of those guys. This is not the quarterback that I went out and recruited as my number one, but I'm going to be smart enough as a quarterback guru and an offensive analyst that I can go out there and I can work to make this guy better. And he is getting better and developing better as a quarterback. But Felipe Franks, if you put him against where they want to be, not Kentucky, which they lost. They're better than Kentucky, even though they lost that game. But not Kentucky or Missouri, or not the games against that. But Florida wants to be Georgia and Alabama and LSU in that group. They're not there yet, and I think most people understand that. But if you put Felipe Franks in one of those games against the Jake Fromms, the Trevor Lawrences, the guys like the Tuas, and I know I'm talking about a select few, but if you do that, they're going to get crushed. And that's not where – he is good enough to be a 9-3 quarterback. He is not good enough to be a national champion. So the way that conversation was going is like we were about to have a parade, and that's the only reason I'm –
I think the way we were going is because we're both being Florida fans. We've seen Felipe Franks with Jim McElwain, where there was just no confidence. This was a guy that just sat on the sideline like this with a towel over his head, chewing on the corner of the towel. It was basically just a shell of a quarterback out there. And now you see what Dan Mullen has kind of worked him into. It's a completely different quarterback. And I agree exactly with what you're saying. We actually talked about it on Sports Call on Saturday, the difference between arm strength and accuracy. Tua is a lot more accurate than Felipe is, but Felipe has a lot stronger arm. In that situation, if you got to look at it as far as who you want to run the offense, you got to go with the guy that's more accurate than the guy with the strong arm, because you need to fit it into a window on a 3rd and 5 for 6 yards. You're going to go with an accuracy, not strong arm.
Tua is the number one, and real quickly, Jeff, Tua is the number 1 overall quarterback in this year's mock draft, and one of the best quarterbacks. Should have won the Heisman last year.
We're talking about Tua and
Franks is not an NFL quarterback. He's good, but he's not going to be a starter in the NFL.
I disagree.
All right.
I think Felipe Franks will be a starter in the NFL, not immediately, but he's got all the tools. His accuracy continues to improve. If you continue to coach that guy, like Brian Johnson said, he's got unlimited upside. And
well, the Gator Patriot relationship.
I think he'll get drafted next year after his redshirt junior year. I think he'll get drafted.
I mean, he's got if you look at it without looking at the Wonderlic test and the smarts, arm strength, size, pocket presence, he's got all of that.
Toughness. Yeah.
Can he run and scramble in a game today that is separated outside in a spread where you have more room to run? The biggest thing is the things that aren't measured, that Mackenzie Milton or those guys that aren't the little guys, that the Johnny Manziels that are the 2 and 3 stars that don't get the looks, those guys make plays. They make football plays. Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie is the reverse Felipe Franks. Had nothing. He looked like the kind of guy you wouldn't even notice him. He's from my hometown, and I remember talking to Doug, and I was looking down on him. But this guy played 2 decades in the NFL because Flutie would make plays. He has his own cereal. I mean, there are guys that Felipe Franks, I want him to prove me and everybody wrong. Florida fans that have watched every game and watched that 3-step drop on CBS against Georgia, and he threw it right into the midst of the Georgia defender. I'm like visualizing this play where it was like robot, throw, hit chest of defensive back of Georgia, standing right. Like plays that you have to see that guy who's wearing a white uniform. Those are the kind of plays that he has to prove to everybody because Georgia's where they want to be. It's not about beating those games that we expect them to win. They should beat Florida State. Beating Michigan was a great victory, but it was a bowl game. It's hard to judge where a team is in the bowl because if I ask you on a polygraph, you think Texas is better than Georgia, would any of you say yes last year? It was a game where sometimes in a bowl, teams play differently. I'm rooting for him. He got much better. He was the most improved quarterback probably from the beginning to the end. But I'm not ready to judge this guy like he is going to put them in a spot because if there was a better quarterback that came along or transferred, he would not be the starter right now at Florida.
Well, I don't know.
It's a small list. What do you think about Justin Fields if he would have transferred to Florida?
Well, Justin Fields is exactly what Dan Mullen wants. He's a guy that can run the ball and throw the ball.
Him there.
And that's the guy he wants, and that's what he's trying to get with all these other kids that he's bringing in, like Dickerson, and he just got another kid the other day that Carlos Del Rio out of Georgia. That has a 2021 selection, or a signee, but he wants a kid that can run and throw. So Felipe Franks is not that good of a runner. He's not very fast, but he's learned how to kind of maneuver his way through, and he's tough, and he can grind it, and he's bigger than the linebackers. So he was effective in the run game last year, and now he feels comfortable in it, and so you'll see them use him more, and he's not going to get hurt because how can you hurt a guy like that? So I think that Felipe Franks will leave after this year and be drafted in the NFL, and next year Emory Jones will be the quarterback.
And speaking of Emory Jones, I think Florida fans should be happy about the future at that quarterback position with Emory Jones, because this is a guy that he knows exactly what he's got, and he knows he's the second guy behind Felipe Franks this year, and he's working, but he's also making sure he's prepared for any situation that arises. If Felipe Franks goes down against Miami, Emory Jones is going to be ready. And they actually did an interview with him, and they asked him, "Was like, what are your expectations here?" He's like, "Look, I'm still learning. I'm a younger guy. I'm still learning from Felipe. I'm still learning from Coach Mullen, Coach Johnson. I'm still learning from all of these guys, and I'm soaking up any knowledge that I can." He knows that next year is going to be his opportunity, and it's nice to see that type of mentality from a player in college football, rather than, I'm not getting playing time, I'm going to the transfer portal.
Well, in this game, and it's been highly talked about not only here but around the country, because you've got Florida and you've got Miami, two national champions that we've watched throughout the years, and both of these teams are trying to go in different. They're doing it different ways. Manny Diaz is coming in and he fired everybody on the offense. But I just hold the water. Get off my field. Like he fired everybody offensively. He had that power. It was like one of those cartoons where he's like, "Oh, I've got the power," and then I just like, "You get away!" Like, those guys. Like when he got the job, everyone's like, "Crap!" And then he literally got rid of the whole entire offense. And then defensively, Miami's going to be tough, but Florida. This is the year where there's 3 teams I'm putting in this mix because they're not there. I'm telling you this as a neutral across the board. The teams that are in the in class are 3 teams. That is it, and that is Alabama, Clemson, and Georgia. No order, but those 3 are in the we're better than you category to start the season. Then there is that next realm, that next tier, if we're going a pyramid here. The next tier are teams like what we saw in Oklahoma, Ohio State, Notre Dame. I hate saying that, but they're in there. You got a couple teams like that are in that next tier. Then there's that next, and LSU's in that tier as well, that second tier. Then there's that third tier, and that tier is Florida. That tier is Texas. That tier is Oregon. That tier is Texas A&M. And I'd even put right now, because I'm not a huge believer on them overall, Auburn's in there as well. That tier we would not be shocked at all if they go 7-5, but we wouldn't be shocked if they went 10-2.
Right.
That tier. And they're in that mix, so they want to jump a couple tiers to sit there at that next level. Miami is in that tier where, they're going to lose some games at the next level. And then Florida State is just waiting to have Willie Taggart out of the town. But I hope they can be better because we want them all to succeed.
The good thing is that Florida State will actually be a lot better this year, in my opinion. I heard you opine that they're probably not going to be any better.
Yeah,
I think they will with Kendall Briles. I think they will.
Briles and with Clements, the offensive line coach, those guys, they averaged 43 points a game at Houston last year, and they're going like, well, we got better talent now. And if you listen to them in their broadcast, the post-practice press conferences, they say, listen, man, these guys are pretty doggone good. We've got lots of talent, and they can protect that offensive line because their offense really is just a 3-step drop offense, and they run tempo, and so they're not allowing the defense to get set, and so you're not going to see a whole lot of sacks like you've seen with Florida State, last year. So I think that Florida State will be better. I think Miami's going to be better too. Mm-hmm. Miami's going to be better because those 3 linebackers are back. They're going to choose between N'Kosi Perry, Tate Martell, and Jaron Williams. Mm-hmm. We still don't know who that's going to be. We don't know if it's going to be Martell or not. It could very well be.
Why don't they just run QB sneaks with that punter?
The punter.
The punter is tatted out in his 60s right now.
The guy, he's 26 years old. He's 26 years old.
Is he under investigation for doing a bunch of Harley commercials, though?
I think so. His entire body is tattooed.
Just Google Miami punter, a freshman. He looks like the stepdad in movies with Mark Wahlberg, who's like, the guy that he's in his 40s. This is from Australia.
The stepdad that shows up to intimidate
Mark Wahlberg and John Cena. Yeah.
What you really need to do is go to YouTube and watch an interview with him. It is the funniest thing you'll ever. It's just like tie me kangaroo down, boy.
That guy better be involved in the offense somehow. Like if they don't do fake punts every time within 4th and 6, they're moronic. This guy, I'm waiting for this guy to make some moves.
Whenever he looked at the schedule, he said in the opener, I get to kick a lot, I punt a lot.
Yeah, that's true. He will. It's going to be a lot of fun. Well, P. Ryan's going to be the key. We got to take a break, but I think all this quarterback talk, you got P. Ryan in that running game for Florida and establishing the time of possession. is going to be the key to this one, and I think they will, because against that defense, it's going to be tough with the offensive line, the inexperience, run the football a lot in this game, and I think they win in a lower scoring 24-10, 24-14 style game. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more college football as the countdown begins to 19 days. We'll get to some local news. Braves getting rid of a guy in their ERA. I guess enough is enough when you have a 6.19 ERA. Head to the Reds. You'll get to start. Coming back for more.
Remember those summer adventures as a kid on two wheels? Cutting loose with your buddies, enjoying freedom on those endless summer nights? Make new memories this summer at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Don't forget that right now it's Harley-Davidson of Pensacola's Buy Back event. If you purchased a bike from them in the past year, they'll give you back what you paid towards your new Harley. Discover your inner child again with the freedom that owning a Harley brings. Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Let's ride.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there.
We are broadcasters, your home for Pensacola sports, ESPN Pensacola 945.
Some might argue that the hamburger is the perfect food. Great for any occasion, you don't need utensils, and good almost any time of the day or night. And Denny's 100% beef burger lineup features bold flavors and fresh ingredients, like the spicy sriracha burger and the bourbon bacon burger, which are both perfectly delicious. Perhaps the Denny's burger is one of the world's most perfect foods. Stop by and decide for yourself. See you at Denny's. Price and participation may vary. Limited time only.
Hi, it's Flint Lockwood here in Swallow Falls. My friends and I have just discovered some amazing living foodimals, but we've also discovered an urgent matter that needs our help. According to my calculations, 1 in 5 kids in America struggles with hunger. Our latest mission is to help solve hunger by teaming up with the Feeding America Network to get food to kids facing hunger in communities across the country.
Help Flint and the Feeding America Network of food banks get food to the people who need it in your community. Find your local Feeding America food bank at feedingamerica.org/hunger.
Together, we're Feeding America.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Sports is live and local every Saturday from 11 to 1.
Kawhi, him and his free agency, or him just sitting around waiting to sign with the team, had a lot to do with more than just the Lakers. There were other teams that were tied into this trade as well to determine their next moves. And for the Lakers, they still haven't finalized the Anthony Davis deal.
Sports Call with Jordan Glass and Davis Allen on your radio, on Facebook, and YouTube.
Southern California basketball is going to be what everybody's paying attention to this upcoming season.
At ESPN Pensacola 945.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Welcome back. Final segment here before we send it out to the Pensacola Blue Wahoos on a tear here, jumping right back into the mix to win the second half of the season. They've won now 11 of their last 13 games, including a nice victory over the weekend, almost a no-hitter, 3-1 win on Saturday and then 10-1 win. And Jeff, I know you've had season tickets, been down there, been a Pensacola native with your family throughout your life, and watching back in the day when they had the Barracudas on that field in arena football and the Pelicans in baseball and all these teams when it was the Ice Pilots, but in hockey. But I'm telling you what, watching Alex Kirilov and Royce Lewis, these are two young prospects, but not just two young prospects within the organization. Baseball's a very rare sport where, think about who do we watch in college football? I mean, we watch the next top picks in the NFL draft and we know their names. If you're a college football fan of the South, you know exactly who Tua, you know exactly who Trevor Lawrence is. When it comes, or Jake Fromm. Baseball, unless it's one of those rare cases of a Bryce Harper or a Steven Strasburg, a guy like that, we don't know all the household names in the minor leagues until they become in the majors, because a lot of them don't always work out. You get one of those aces down in there, and then he gets cut from the team or released after batting 170. But Royce Lewis and Alex Kirilloff are two of the young guys that have the tools to be Andrew McCutchen style when he first came out of Pittsburgh. I'm not saying obviously he's going to be Mike Trout or anything, but they have that style. They are that good. These guys are the kind of guys that can impact the Twins, and the Twins already have a number of those guys with Polanco and Rosario, and then you have crush smashers and Miguel Sano, who, I bought you those glasses out of it, but all those guys that can crush the ball. Nelson Cruz, who can take anything, anywhere. Max Kepler, who moved up. So they already have a number of those guys, but they're batting 1 and 2 now. So if you're watching the game tonight or you're going down to Wahoo Stadium, remember, you are watching two phenomenal players when you start that game in the bottom of the first inning at 1 and 2 in Royce Lewis and Alex Kirilloff.
And the Twins are really, really good at the major league level. And they really have a legitimate shot at winning it all. Now, if it wasn't for Houston, because Houston's now a mulch mower, now that they've, added Greinke.
Got a guy with a 6 ERA pitching a no-hitter.
And remember, you get to the postseason, and you got off days, and so you tighten your rotation to 3 guys, and so they've got 3 of the top 10 pitchers and starters in baseball going. It's just almost unfair. It's almost like when Arizona had Schilling and
Johnson,
Randy Johnson, and they pitched those guys 6 times in 7 games.
And Young Kim. Man.
But and of course the Twins are playing the Braves tonight. They're playing three game set in the Metrodome. The Braves have a 7-game lead now over the Nats and the Phillies. And of course the Braves lost 2 out of 3 to Cincinnati this weekend, but the Nats and the Phillies kind of floundered as well. But can't watch it on TV. We should be able to watch it back when we had TBS.
That's right.
And WGN. But now you have to live in Georgia and to be able to watch it on Florida Sports South, or you can go to an establishment.
That's right. Or watch or quadruple box it on my iPad. Well, maybe Real Housewife is on in there. There's like 8,000 now. There's like Real Housewives Beulah now and stuff. Like these shows are popping up everywhere. I mean, that would be a show. I'd actually watch that. That would be like, some of the things getting thrown at people.
Because those would be
y'all
real.
Get back in this house.
Yeah, we love you, Beulah. I mean, it's great, but it would be entertaining. I've seen
a
a Housewives. Not real. I don't know how real it was. It was definitely real, but I've seen a Beulah Housewives at a park. It was a park right there across. It's got. Whew, that would have been some entertainment right there. That was a complete mom fight right there. I wasn't 100% sure if one of them was a lady, but it was
that park with the gazebo in that neighborhood that's like right off 9 Mile.
Yes, exactly. 100%. Yeah, it's got you park in sort of the dirt. Exactly. Yeah, I could have named any park there, but it's the one with the rocks right there.
Yeah.
And then you
and
park
it's
there.
Got that tree in that one place.
And it's got a path that you can walk into the woods, and you take a little pathway outside of the park where you. Yes. Yeah,
you guys are talking to somebody that's never gotten north of Davis Highway.
Hey, listen. I go to my fair share of parks of Beulah. I have kids, folks, by the way. But looking at some of the things going on here, because we have a few minutes. Baker Mayfield, by the way. What an accomplishment this is. You see him chug. He keyed a beer and just crushed it right there on that.
He bit the beer can open. That's what's more impressive.
This guy was an intramural quarterback taking photos as an Uber driver at Texas Tech. Never got a shot. Goes to Oklahoma, wins a national title, or gets to a college football playoff, wins a Heisman, and becomes the number 1 pick when he was projected 3rd round at the beginning of the season. Goes on, he takes a team, and we're definitely jumping into a mix that I am not touching right now. But when he goes out there and he goes to Cleveland, and now they're talking about being a title contender or a Super Bowl contender. Like, this guy quit, and then he smashes a beer in front of everybody, and Aaron Rodgers style. Man, this guy is the man. Baker Mayfield is just the dude. He really is an awesome dude.
Aaron Rodgers can crush 4 ounces at a time.
That's right. Shots of Zima.
Tom Brady can hammer it. He's shown that he can.
I wouldn't be talking about Giselle. Oh, beer. Yes, I think he can. I think he could take down his own right there. But Tom Brady doesn't have to prove anything to anybody.
There was a YouTube video of the quarterbacks in the league, each getting their shot at crushing a beer, and Mayfield might have been probably the top guy, but
was as a Melbourne Central Catholic option quarterback that Joe Cohen broke my collarbone. Former Florida Gator. Go Gators. Go Gator.
Joe Cohen.
I'm going to say, if I count in this realm for playing my 4-day career as an option quarterback in high school, I would win that award. You've seen me out there at the club. I'm just saying.
I can attest to that.
I would win that. Beat an offensive lineman from Florida on a cruise ship at spring break. That's a good way to end today's show. Folks, Jeff, I appreciate you joining as always.
Enjoyed it very much.
Tomorrow, today's 19. So tomorrow, guess what? 18 days. 18 days away from college football.
Wow.
And then tomorrow, on Wednesday, will be 17. God, Jordan.
And then on Thursday, it'll be 15-4.
By Thursday, I forgot. But you know what?
15-4, that's good. Yeah, Jordan.
I can't think of what I'm having for dinner, so I'm not going to think of Thursday. Let's make some. Hi, guys. Have a great rest of your night. For all of us here, for Jordan Glass, for Jeffrey D., I'm Chad Brillante. Make sure to get all your pets spayed and neutered. For Bob Barker, and God bless.
Now there's more fun for everyone at IP. The beautiful Bayview Cafe is here, open 24 hours, 7 days a week. You can dine anytime and meet up with friends for wine tasting at 850 Wine and Spirits. Plus, if you love sports, IP Sportsbook is where the action is, and now taking wagers. Better up.
IP Casino Resort and Spa. It's fun for everyone.
Hi, I'm Matt Kenseth. You don't have to be a race car driver to know that life can be full of drama. Some of it you can't control, like mechanical issues, high winds, and rain delays. But there's some drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
You just need to take that first step and find free classes near you, and leave the drama for the racetrack.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
ESPN Radio is taking over ESPN News. You can now watch your favorite radio shows all in one place. From Golic and Wingo.
Oh, yeah.
To the Dan Levitard Show with Stugotz.
All right, I'm available every day, thanks.
To the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I just don't understand this guy.
To the Will Kane Show.
It's my job to tell the truth.
From morning to night, the best of ESPN Radio is now available on ESPN News.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of